Nasty Ronnie.
What is happening, man?
Yeah, lots, man, on your side.
Oh, I was out. Where are you at?
I'm about an hour from Hanover, Germany.
Oh, Deb, he's from Hanover, close to Hanover, Germany. Deb says hi. So
Great.
today it's Friday. I usually go out garage sailing, like yard sale,
Okay.
and buy stuff.
All sorts of curiosities. What do you hunt for?
When I go to a garage sale, they say, "Are you looking for anything in particular?" And I say, "Just in particular things," because I have booths in antique malls.
Okay, okay.
So, like any kind of wow factor, pulp fiction, you can never go wrong with
Right.
collectible toys, antiques, stuff like that. Movie stuff, Marilyn Monroe, Beatles, Rolling Stones, just
Awesome.
history, history books, things like that too. Oh, you never know. Today I found two original Barbies I never saw a Barbie before with a wig. Came with a wig and they're like a bow vomit thing. Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Crazy. So you don't just go television hunting.
Uh, excuse me. I don't, but when I do see one, they're kind of rare. They're like unicorns, man. So you gotta grab them. I'll put them aside. Or I'll get someone to keep them at their house for me. But
Great.
I always look, and when you're driving down the road and you see that one and they'll out by the garbage, I know people that know Nasty Savage think, "Oh, Nasty Ron," because I am known to mess around with TV sets.
Yes, you are. Infamous. Ronnie, it's good to have you here. Glad you could make the time.
Oh man, thank you for having me. It's so important, and thank you for being a fan, supporting Nasty Savage, but also for designing some really cool stuff for me, man. I really like your work, and it's always exciting to see marketing and promotion through someone else's eyes of your product. Without me giving much of direction.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I am a publisher. I publish Born to Ride magazine, and I publish one in Florida and then one in the Southeast, so two a month. And the other one goes to Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North and South Carolina, and Kentucky. So I'm pretty active with that. I did a TV show, Born to Ride Television, for 28 years. I produced 1,340 TV episodes in a row. I mean,
Wow.
that's a lot. That's a
So
lot. That's a big dedication of not only business production, being a producer, and being a sales and marketing guy. Because that's what I was doing is marketing and sales. I buy the TV time, sell the promotions, and I promote it in the magazine, the TV. And just nonstop work, work, work.
so
Holidays.
when I saw your address, I immediately knew there must be an affinity for motorcycles. Am I right?
Yeah, Florida is we can ride here almost 99.9% of the year with the climate. So we're very fortunate. Therefore, there's a lot of registered bike owners,
Mm.
but there's also a lot of people moving to Florida, driving on the roads with motorcycles. So it becomes very dangerous. And,
Okay.
you really got to be a smart rider to know how to stay alive out there.
Okay. Do
But,
you ride
but
yourself?
yeah, I've got a couple of Harleys, but I did produce 1,340 TV episodes.
Amazing.
That's probably a world record, the longest running biker TV show in the world, and it's more than The Simpsons, and it's more than a show called Cops. You've probably seen Cops
Yes.
reruns over there,
Yes.
but Cops has been on forever, man. Born to Ride has more episodes than Cops. I mean,
Well, I
so
must. I'm not familiar with the show. I must actually. I mean, obviously, here being from Germany, but I must actually reach out and have a look if I can find something
yeah,
on.
you could check it out on our YouTube channel, Born to Ride, and
Mm.
just Google the YouTube. There's a lot of great episodes. I've had all kinds of celebrities on the show, from Evil Knievel to Hulk
Wow.
Hogan, Willie Nelson, Charlie Daniels, Macho Man Savage. Willie G is a famous guy from Harley Davidson. Steven Tyler, just so many different. And but the real heroes and celebrities are the bikers who go out there and and give the last dollar out of their pocket and the shirt off their back to help someone in need.
Yes.
And that's really what I do. I market, or I magnify the greatness of bikers, and it's been an easy, fun job. It's a lot of great people doing a lot of great. They're misjudged. It's kind of a parallel
Yes, it's true.
sometimes with, yeah, it's kind of a parallel with like heavy metal, because a lot of people, metalheads, are misjudged, but they're very real. They really work with each other, support each other, and help each other, and care about each other. And that's 24/7, 365. And the
Yes.
same thing with bikers. They're true. They're true to their word, to their brands, and they're true to fellowship and brotherhood, and all that cool stuff that metalheads do. And that's why I love it too, because it's just another extension of what I do.
Yes, but they're very close related. You're 100% correct. Now.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm always active, and then I've got booths in antique malls, and I got like 5 different malls I'm in with booths. One have 4, another one has 3, another one has 2, and then I have one and 2 other ones. So I'm always buying stuff and selling it and restocking it. It's a
Gotta
treasure hunt, man. Every day, it's cool. I love it.
Good things come to those who hustle.
Well, exactly. I always say, winners win, leaders lead, losers lose, and followers follow. But wherever you come in, under those stats, it doesn't matter, because tomorrow you could change it to make it even better. So where we're at sometimes in life is where we're at, because that's where we're at. But if we really want to, we can make a change and be productive. I've got to produce stuff all the time. I have a couple other things that I do too, called Combat Camera, working with action figures, 12-inch, like GI Joes I collect. And as a kid, I set up in I played with army men, and I created battalions and battles, and by myself. And I think that's how I became creative, and then I started collecting GI Joes and playing in the backyard, man, until the sun would go down, when my mom would say it's time to come in for dinner. So now at my age now, I collect, in the years, in the past years, I've always collected, but I got involved with sideshow toys, and they're 12-inch action figures of Civil War, brothers in arms, and I recreated the battle scene of the wheat field at Gettysburg, and it's like,
Okay.
but to do that, you can't do it with just 1 or 2 figures. You have to have battalions, you have to have units. So I've got hundreds of those things too, man. But I set them up like when I was a kid in the backyard, and I'd go out to this like field that looks like the wheat field, and I'd study the battle of the history, and I'd recreate some of the scenes with some of the people that were involved, and try to tell the story in my own way.
Wow.
And it's really cool, because I'll throw a smoke bomb out there. I set the guys up. I take the pictures and move them around. So it's just what it was. At the end of the day, I put it all away and go home. It's not like I have a studio with lighting and all this effects. It's just real, and it comes off real. And you could go to a Combat Camera on Facebook, Combat Camera on Facebook, and check that out. But it's something
Mm.
I'm really passionate about. And I took this test pressing book, um, to Gettysburg, to the battlefield, and all these shops and everybody that are there. There's dozens that make money off Civil War, and they're set up. So I took my book and I said, "Hey, who's in charge here, man? Check this out. Check this out." And they looked at it and they go, "We've never seen anything like this before, man. This is cool." So I mean, they would buy it. I just haven't got it all
Amazing.
finished. But I see I put it in the gift shops of all the battlefields, because they always need something to sell. But it's really cool. So it's just something else I do.
Wow. So you're keeping busy, hey? But on the other hand, I've noticed for a while now, since the pandemic passed, really, that you have obviously been reactivating another playing field, namely Nasty Savage,
Oh,
which
we're going to
is
talk about Nasty Savage. I thought we were going to talk about my action figures, antiques, Born to Ride.
a little
But
bit, but the listeners want to hear about Nasty Savage as well.
of course, of course. But it's just another extension of
Mm.
what I do, and now it's time to go, like Superman. Put your cape on, you go out and you start fighting crime. when it's time for Nasty Savage, you just got to get your mind right. You got to live it. You got to
Mm.
breathe it, and you have to never forget all those years, some 41 years of doing
Wow.
it, and it's almost like an honor to put the badge on when
Mhm.
it's time to go on stage with brothers and guys that are musicians and your partners that, they're your bandmates. We put this music together. All through the years, man, Nasty Savage has really been about the music. What the guys created, David and Ben and Curtis, and David Austin's incredible. Fred Dregeshin in the early days as our bass. He really created that unique sound, and then David's unique sound came on. And then Ben's,
Ben
we just
Meyer.
had this, yeah, we had this groove, and of course Fred was, to me, is I always thought he was like Steve Harris or somebody,
Mm.
just a forward thinking bass player that, and now Scotty Carino is really a lot like Fred too. He's really a good bass player, and he's been with us forever
But
since Richard passed away, and he was already out of the band. And we had Chris Morehouse as another bass player, and Dezo as another one. So we always change around bass players, but we kept that same sound. And
that's
so yeah,
that's that's that to me has always been since my entry record was Indulgence, and since that very day I heard it, that opening sequence, I just thought this I have not heard anything like this, and to this day there is no band that compares, in my opinion. There's nothing
yeah.
that sounds like it, and like you said,
Well,
it's a perfect mixture of technicality, but always with a good portion of groove and a really heavy ass sound. Amazing.
yeah, and I owe that to the bandmates, because I'm not really a musician and I don't write music. I write some lyrics and tell those abstract kind of stories. If you read between the lines, you'll maybe see something in there, or figure it out, or try to. But it's inner stuff that I do. But the music, it's hypnotic, and
Yes,
that's what that's what makes me do some kind of a little different stuff on stage. It's that music. It,
you're
you
in the
know,
hypnotic trance.
you might as well use it like a shaman, man.
Yes.
That music, the creating of that music and the beat and the drums and it takes you back.
Yeah, but your
It,
vocals are a great part of it. I mean, they're so unorthodox. They're so I mean, you were probably one of the first vocalists I heard doing a little bit of, yeah, was it guttural? But it was lower register, like kind of stuff. And then the high pitched stuff. So that was really
yeah,
way before I heard Schuldiner and the likes.
yeah. It was. I didn't know any better. I didn't know any different. Just like I got in this band, and I heard that I always wanted to kind of be a singer because I always liked it, and I had that look and stuff, and I always was influenced by music in my life, and but one thing that really inspired me, believe it or not, and I told this a couple of things, they freaked out, but West Side Story,
Okay.
the Jets and in fourth grade when I watched West Side Story for the first time with the gangs and the dancing and the violence, but the love and that Romeo and Juliet story just got me. But what was really cool were the dancing. The Jets are gonna have their way tonight.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just that, and the soundtrack, Leonard Bernstein, just like,
Yes.
those things move you. And then that's what created me to be a performer. And then, then I saw Wendy O. Williams and Plasmatics, and I always loved Jim Morrison. And then I loved pro wrestling. So I was like, man, I'm just gonna bring it all. And then
You
my,
did.
my, my friend said, hey man, this band is looking for a singer. And I said, oh, okay. And they invited me to come over. And it was Nightmare. It was only Fred, Ben, and Craig Huffman at the time was the drummer of that. And they just got rid of their singer, was a chick. So I went over there and I was with my wife back then. We've been together that long. She had a Pinto. I
Amazing.
just bought a I just bought a turntable, man. And I said, just pull over here. I'm gonna try for this band. And she goes, what? I go, yeah, just come back in about an hour. So I go in there and I sang The Wrathchild from Iron Maiden a couple of times and one other song. And then I left. And then I never heard anything back from these guys. So I was like, damn. Um, I went to a keg party and there I saw them. And I said, hey, you guys want me to be your singer or not? They go, yeah, yeah. I go, okay, I'll be over Monday with a game plan. And so I came over Monday and it was like the jam house. I said, everybody out except the band. And they're like, who the hell is this guy? I said, no, no, everybody out right now. Now. And they got out and then I go, everybody sit down. I said, this is it, man. Nasty Savage. I'm gonna be Nasty Ronnie, the wildest singer ever. We're gonna put our money together right now and we're gonna do an original music and we're gonna call it The Wage of Mayhem demo tape. And I said, within 1 year, we're going to be signed. We're going to be getting fan mail from all over the world, and we're going to be touring. Are you guys? Can you dig that? Are you in? Is everybody in? And they said, "Yeah, man, sounds good." So, I mean, the rest is, Nasty Savage history. And so we were focused. And, when we sang in bars and we did that for a while, I said, man, I can't sing all these other guys' music and sound like them. If I sound like myself, no one can judge that, unless
Yeah.
it's terrible, terrible, but who cares? So that's what we did. We just started creating new songs. And Fred he wrote all these songs, and David came. Then we got, then at that moment before the demo, we got Curtis Beeson as a drummer, and we added David Austin, and we had our main course of the band there, and that's what created the demo tape and all that. So
What was the
that's a little
name?
history.
Was the band name your idea?
Yeah, I came in. I said it's Nasty Savage. I'm Nasty Ronnie, and I always wanted to do
That's
something with
great.
Savage.
That's
I
just
wanted to do
great.
something with the name Savage, because I love
Yeah.
Savage. All of a sudden, Nasty, like Nasty Ronnie, Nasty Savage. Hell yes. So
Great.
then we just started because I wasn't a singer. I really just played one on stage,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a joke, but I mean, look what we did. We toured the world and we did bands and, shows and records. But it just shows, man, if you have passion and a little bit of common sense,
Yes.
common sense, guys, wake up. Just do the right thing. And if you say you're going to do it, do it. If,
Yeah.
if you promise somebody something, promise, do it. You shake their hand, that's a contract, whatever.
Live up to it.
Just give value to others and always help others and good things will happen, but you gotta be on track for where your goals are. And we started doing shows, and as soon as we started getting fan mail and stuff, I went to the newspapers and said, hey, look, local band getting international mail, blah blah blah. They started covering us. And then so they sent the photographers out to see us play at Ruby's Pub, a famous place. You probably heard the live days
Yes.
from Ruby's. A lot of bands have played there. But we were the ones who started that shit. So
Yeah, but who was it way
um,
back then? It was you guys and Sabotage, basically, huh?
yeah, pretty much Sabotage and us. And there's a band called Argus that we really looked up to, and a band called Vengeance, and that was about it. And they played sporadically. But um, when we'd go to Ruby's, and where was I going with that? Oh shit! Oh, I was in the middle of a good story. Do you remember what I
Early
was saying?
days, the shows.
Yeah. Um, damn. And that was a good one too. I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry, I must have brought you off track.
But we'd play these places and we'd create our own shows pretty much, and it just took off from there. Oh, I remember where I was. The newspaper would send the photographers to see our show. So these photographers are used to taking like pictures of someone holding up a check or cutting the ribbons and digging dirt, the gold
Mm.
shovel shit, or you know regular. So now they're in a Nasty Savage mayhem, crazy, just unbelievable, surreal, this shit that they've never seen before with the legions of metal. And that's when these kids would just do anything and just nonstop. It was just electrifying. It was us back then. It was we're old, and now we bring our kids to the shows, and it's amazing. But back then, these kids who are now 60 and 50 and stuff were just mayhem, man. A lot of these guys were bands that came into Obituary, Deicide,
Yes,
Morbid Angel. Those guys were in the crowd back
they were the
then.
kids.
So then the photographer would be so excited, I'd become their friend and say, "Hey, man, let's go to the dark room tomorrow and see if we could develop a few." And he'd go, "Okay, I've got the keys." So they'd open up the place. I'd go in the dark room when you put you put it in the water and all that with the oh, it's killer. And he'd come out with these 8x10 glossies. I go, "Oh, do this one, do that one," and I'd leave with a stack, man. So then I would take the demo, the cool pictures, and a bio, and I would send it to every fanzine and motorcycle, and heavy metal magazine I could find, because being a publisher, before I was even a publisher, I
Published it,
knew
yeah.
that if I provided a publisher with photos and dynamic photos, a free demo that's signed with some extra shit in there, and a bio, now he'd have everything he needs to do a nice story. And he goes, "Oh, I'll make this a feature. I'll put this on the cover." And that's what I did. I was marketing metal,
But that
because
was
I
the
knew.
that was the good old DIY way, huh?
Yeah, man, you had to lick stamps, you had to write it down, you had to.
Send out
uh,
demos, tape trade.
and then about 3 or 4 months later, you get this package in the mail, and it'd be the record. It would be the fanzine and the guy's personal writing, and I'd write to bands like Creator and Destruction.
Mm.
They'd write back, and I even used to write with Gigi Allen. Man, he used to send me crazy
Oh,
shit,
wow.
and but that was what we had to do, and so the mail for Nasty Savage would come to my house, and I lived at home with my mom and dad, and I'd be at work, and I'd call my mom. I said, "Mom, did we get any mail today?" And she'd go, "Oh yeah, you got about 10 or 15 letters from all over the place." And one other thing I knew, that if a headbanger, so all these magazines would go out, and then the kids would order the demos. So I made everyone special. I had to sign them. I'd throw buttons in or patches and just letters and photos. I'd make their day because I knew how
Mm.
important it was that they took the time to want that. So until this day, when I do shows, people come and tell me, "I got that letter from you, man. It was so cool," and it really meant something. But it was natural for me, and so I knew that when that one guy that got it, would it be in New Jersey or wherever, that all his buddies that he hangs out with that are metalheads, because everybody's got their own drinking crew and metal crew, and they go, "Look what I got!" Like, "Oh fuck, man, I want to get that." So then they would order it, and
Yeah, next thing you know, you're passing through there and they're all there, you know?
it was just common sense. That's where common sense comes in, people. Common sense marketing, and just give people extra stuff, and they're going to tell. It's going to say they're if you rip somebody off, they're really going to say it. But if you give something kind and like under promise and over deliver, people are always going to rave about it. You create raving fans. So that's kind of what we did. So I used to get orders all the time. We sold probably close to 4,000 demo tapes, but it was helping me feed the system to send more out, and afford to print more. So one day I said, "Mom, do we get any mail?" She goes, "Yeah, yeah." She goes, "You got this, you got that. Oh, here's one from Metal Blade Records." I go, "Oh, really?
Wow.
Open it, open it."
Brian Slagle.
And my mom was the one who told me and read the letter from Brian Slagle that Nasty Savage over here in Brandon, Florida, a record company from California, has noticed us enough to say, "Hey, man." And it was within that 1 year period that I put that thing down when I walked in and told them the name of the band, and we have 1 year to do this shit.
Wow.
Is everybody in? And it just worked, man, because we're in every fanzine possible. How could they not see us? And another thing I would do is I'd send demo tapes to every underground radio show. I mean, every college had a metal show back then, everyone. And I would make it special. I'd had a rock box. I cut a promo at the end of the demo, and I go, "This is Nasty Ronnie from Nasty Savage here on KPFT, Houston, Texas. And this is a song off our demo tape, Wage of Man. This is Unchained Angel." And
Oh,
I'd say,
amazing.
"Hey,
Yeah,
dude, I put this on the tape for you." And they go, "Holy shit." So don't you think they're going to play it? you
of
know,
course they are. Yeah.
Common sense again. You could go to college and you can get degrees, but if you don't have common sense in life, you're not going to be that leader or entrepreneurial type person that you might really want to be. You can always be that person, but it's hard. It's like speed. You're born to run fast.
Yeah.
You're born with, I think, common sense, but you can develop it too. It's really a natural thing. But that was the key to getting it all started. But my mom, was the one who read that to me. My mom's 93 now, and she still
Wow.
plays golf. I'm going to see her Easter Sunday. She's coming over with my sister and some other family. And family's so important. They've always been there for me. And but yeah, we used to get the letters, and
Magical times, eh? Magical times.
yeah, and we just played in Orlando last week, a show, and then next Sunday we're playing. We just got added to Metal Threat, is a big festival in Chicago, three
I think
days.
I think I've seen that
And
post, yeah.
yeah, and we're going to be playing Sunday. Exhumer was scheduled, but they couldn't make it for some
Wow,
reason.
from Germany, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we toured with Exhumer back in '88 with
Amazing.
Exhumer and Autumncraft,
The
which was
circle, the
Tony
circle,
Dolan.
the circle
That Tony,
completes. Yeah.
oh yeah, and Tony Dolan was in
Adam Kraft. Yeah.
Autumncraft, and now he's the bass player of Venom Inc.
Yes. Yes.
So it's really, I mean, that blows my mind. We spent a lot of time together. We
Man.
even went to Warsaw together when it was behind the Iron Curtain. And it was a great experience back in '88. One thing I was really proud of is we went to Poland, and we're in Katowice, is right by Auschwitz. And
Mm.
it's history, and every American probably wants to go there and take pictures and be rah rah. And the Polish guys were like, hey, it's down the street, if you really want to go. And I was like, you know what, let's just stay here and party with you guys. And they were like, hell yeah, that
Yeah.
was it. So we weren't the ugly Americans. And then we played with a Polish band, Wolf Spider.
Yes,
And
I
that
know them. I know them, yeah.
Yeah, and that was when you had to get stamps to get food in Poland, or
Amazing.
gas. So at the end of those three shows, we had a bunch of zlotys, which is the Polish dollars, and one U.S. dollar was like 1,500 zlotys at the time. But we piled up all that money, and I said, "Call them guys in here in this dressing room." And I called them in. I said, "Guys, this is all for you." And we gave them all the money. And, it was such a great feeling that we could do that in the name of metal, coming together, reaching out to our brothers of metal in a different language, whatever it was. But we
Mm.
all had that thing in common, like we have right now that we're sharing, brother. It's
Sure.
the metal spirit, because we're talking right now because of metal, and because of where we've been and who we are. And it was just when you think about all the crowds and the fun and the fans, but you got to remember the reality of touching others and giving value. And that was one of my most prized things I think we've ever did, because it was so cool. It
Yeah, but
was
that's
so cool.
probably now, if you look back, I mean, number one, you probably never thought that 40 years plus down the line, you'd still be playing, and probably not. Maybe you did, but probably not. But it's probably due to that attitude that you guys are still around. And I personally have to say, I couldn't have been more excited to hear that you're working on new materials. So that's great.
Yeah. If you go to Nasty Savage Wage of Mayhem on Facebook, there is a practice.
Yes, I saw
Uh,
it already. I
kit.
saw it.
Yeah, and there's that one song, The Sixth Finger. So it's like it's an instrumental. It's a rough practice thing, but you can feel the vibe, and we'll be playing it next Sunday. We played it last week, and then we're working on new songs. And we
Awesome.
got a real ripping guitarist, man, Dave Arman, and man, the dude's just a shredder. He's a shredder, man, and sent me some licks. And I mean, this guy's got chops and guitar stuff like, I don't know, man. It's almost like Al Di Meola, or
Mhm.
Ingve style. He can do that too. And when he mixes that up with some hard rhythms and shit, I think I'm really excited, because you have to be excited first off with any project you're working on.
Of
But
course.
you know, I see that and they're like, oh man, but we want to sound like Nasty Savage. We want it to sound like '80s metal. I go, you know what? We're in 2023. Whatever we dealt out, that's what it's going to be. And try your best, whatever, but don't. I said, give me something new. I mean, you have to have new energy, like new birth, and that's where I'm at, and my with my lyrical stuff. Back in the old days we were singing about dragons and lightning and thunder and posers and real common stuff, like, but it's still classic stuff, turn up the music, turn up the night, feeling so crazy, ready to fight, time to put on studs and leather, time to go out into some heavy weather, metal nights, so but as you grow, you
No, of course.
mature too, as a songwriter. And I really like to write about inhumanities and psychological psychos, and just stuff that's inside. Is because when you look in the mirror, that's who we are. Sing
Yeah.
about that
Those are
person.
those are the most interesting topics. The mankind, everything that happens around us. I mean, you can look out almost daily. Topics basically rain from the sky. There's so much happening. It's around us.
Yeah, and I think it's got to come from within, just to kind of. Everybody's different. I just try to, like, to throw something out there to get people to go, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but
mm-hmm,
everybody
yeah,
has a
I can
take on it.
feel that.
Everybody has their
Yeah,
take on it.
so I've always tried to expand that horizon as far as thought, philosophy, or philosophical, kind of Jim Morrison style or Beatles mixed in there. So I don't really get into a lot of music today. I don't even listen to a lot of metal, like, believe it or not, or it's just so weird. I don't even, it's just like I have so many other influences in life, but
No, as you were saying, yes, you mature as a writer, of course, but I mean, you could see a huge development there already. I mean, the topics you were dealing with on Penetration Point were way different. You had your family scenario, you had your welcome wagon, you had your power slam, which must have been about wrestling. So really cool. And then you guys came. Then you had I don't know if you officially disbanded. You probably never disbanded, but came back with 2004's Psycho Psycho.
yeah, and Psycho is really cool because we had an opportunity through Crook Records, a guy that was just a diehard Nasty Savage fan, and he had a lot of money, and he was like, "Dude, I love you." I go, "Well, hell, let's do a record," and he said, "Okay," and we went into the studio, and David lived in Tennessee, which is 8 or 10 hours away, so everybody wrote these songs without seeing each other. It was the first time we ever did that. We used to, like, play, rehearse, then go in the studio and record. Not go in the studio to write music. That's how you
Yeah.
waste a lot of money.
Yes.
So that's another thing. We were always business minded when we went in the studio. It wasn't a party. It was like if Metal Blade gave us $15,000, we'd get out of there in 10,000 and split 5,000 between us. To instead of having a party. But
Yeah, of
so
course.
we went in and we recorded that, and it was a different setting for me to write. So I would, like, believe it or not, some of that I would go in my office upstairs here and I put just right to candlelight and shit. I was trying all these different things to get ideas and motivations because I get a title, then I research the title and I get a bunch of words and sayings and things that relate to that title, and then I kind of put the story together. And I create it's just a short story.
Hmm.
It's like a TV episode. It doesn't matter. It could be anything, but it just takes the place of the passion or the whatever you're thinking of this concept of the music. Then I would hear the songs and I go, okay, that is going to be Distorted Fanatic. And then I'd put the title with that song, and then I'd write around that music. I waited and waited till they were done, and I need to have the leads and everything, and just practice tapes.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, then I could really feel what I was writing and try to match it, because if you really listen to Nasty Savage, it's not the easiest stuff to come up with to write about it. Like the chorus can go just some crazy ass shit. And I thought
Crazy
the guys,
rhythm.
yeah, I thought they were like messing with me, going, "Huh, what can you do with this one?" Like, that's so rational.
Let's see if we can do this one.
Yeah, come up with it. So I had to get, like, crazy too, like their music was, and it just, like, it was just crazy, like Penetration Point, and is it the last stop? Penetration Point, some really cool lyrics, and
I was listening to
And
that again yesterday, and the breaks are incredible. But what I've always enjoyed about Nasty Savage is your vocal approach to it. It was probably due to the music. You couldn't follow a normal phrasing pattern. You know, you had to be really creative, and but that makes it all the more. You mentioned the word hypnotic, and I feel the records have that character, definitely.
yeah, and, you know, it goes back to good production and songwriting, but the production that we've always had, we had some good guys in the studio. It was mostly within our own, like David Austin is a great producer, and you know, the band itself, Fred, you know, but you know, we work with some great guys, Jim Morris and them from Morris Sound
Yeah,
Studios. Once we did our album, there's so many bands just started coming and coming there. Um, but you know, I look at it. I think one of those songs that I might sing the most in is maybe "Aromantic Vertigo."
yeah, romantic.
You know, yeah, but the
But
you
also,
know the run with me, move as quickly as time. You know, it's like
correct.
wow, I never sing like that. It's always like want to fight to kill, day and night and day. You know, so I do need to. I still want to expand my horizons, you know, but it's hard when you get, you know, you gotta enhance what you do unless you just want to stay the same. So I don't know. Every time's another. I know one thing is when once you record it and it's on the record, you can't change it. You know, so it's there forever, man. You know, it's like
Definitely.
you can't like with my magazine. It's monthly. So if there's a screw up in that, a month later, it's gone. You know,
When the printing press rolls, it's done.
right? But a month, it's gone. You could redo it, but a record will last forever. You know, and
Yeah,
like a
that
movie
true. The
or
frequency is
anything like
higher.
that. You know, the dubs, the edits, and then stuff like that. And, you know, but you're always learning from that stuff. You know, you're
Mm.
always trying to learn and remember. Oh, Murphy's Law happened last time. No, you know. So it's like, how smart are you to be smarter than you were last time? Really, that's because no one else is going to do it for you. You know, like when we were in the studio with Psycho Psycho, Donald Tardy from Obituary was our producer
Wow.
with another guy, Paul Prater, who's another guy here. They're both drummers, you know, so they got a great drum sound. And you know, they did good with everything, but I'm doing my lyrics. I go, "Oh, that's fine." Next, I go, "Hold on a minute, man. You know, I want to do this. I want to do a little bit more here." "Oh no, you're good." So you know, it was just funny how you know drummers are drummers always. They're drummers, you
Yeah.
know. But you know, a quick story about the Tardy brothers and Obituary. Man, I'm so proud of those guys and everything that they've accomplished and still just kicking ass. But one day I was at home at my mom and dad's house in Brandon, Florida, and my mom goes, "Ron, there's two boys at the door. They want to talk to you." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I go to the door and there's two kids out there with bicycles and they got banana seats, you know, the old Schwinn bikes and stuff. And they go, "Hey, are you Nasty Ronnie?" I said, "Yeah." They go, "Well, we're John and Donald Tardy, and we want to know how to start a band." So
Amazing.
how
Cool.
smart, how smart are those guys to come to the kind of the guru of marketing metal,
Yeah.
Ron Galletti, who, you know, and they've inspired by, I guess, but they searched me out. They came to my house and they were smart enough to say, "Hey, man, what's up with," they didn't want to waste time. They're
You gotta
smart
know.
dudes. So I said, "You know what, guys? I love what you're doing right now." I said, "Get in my car." I had a Chevelle, 70 Chevelle. I said, "Let's go to Lithia Springs. It's a park here with a spring. And we threw the Frisbee for like 5 hours. And we just hung out, you know, and just, I schooled them on metal and what I do and what they can do and horizons. And they were off to the races, man. And you know, 30, 40 years later,
Amazing.
they put us in that video, 10,000 Ways to Die. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
It's you know, and I mean, that was an honor I mean, that was a tribute to Nasty Savage.
Yeah.
And you know, that's such respect on their part, just for being down with, you know, our hometown boys and where they came from. But it really showed me that, man, these dudes are so cool. And then their book came out. I don't know if you saw their book yet,
I haven't yet.
but,
No.
but there is a whole chapter of the inspiration of Nasty Savage. man, so it just means so much that we were able to impact other people's careers, and other people's history, and have they taken it even farther than we dreamed we could ever be, and they're just workaholics and smart business, and wow, just I'm so impressed with what they do, but I'm impressed with them as men and band members and businessmen because they're just great guys, really,
No, they're
really.
great. I had the pleasure of talking to Trevor um, at one of the festivals here a couple of years back, and so down to and Terry Butler for that matter. And
Terry Butler is
uh,
Terry Butler, Terry Butler is now a god in metal, and he has it for a long time. But think of all the different projects he's in, and merchandising and booking and what all they do to get where they're at to do what they do, man, is
yeah, yeah.
incredible. And side projects and
No,
man,
they
but
really. I respect that at that age. Now, not to say that it's like old, but to still be traveling the world. I saw Terry and Rick the other night here in Osnabrück. They played with Left to Die, and these guys are still doing it. It's that respect.
well,
I,
I look at them as still young boys. I'm 61. So they're probably 10 or 15 years younger, but so they still have plenty of time. But it's
no, but still, I mean, I for myself now, I wouldn't. I don't think I would handle that being on the bus and on the road. It's just not for me.
yeah, but these guys are making a living doing it.
I know.
I
I
do
know.
mine part time, so
No,
that's what I see.
all I'm saying is respect. It's
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, but
respect that.
it's
So
just it's powerful, and it shows you where they came from, Brandon, Florida, the
no,
place.
really
Everybody,
hardworking. No,
yeah, everybody thought, oh, it's all LA, it's all West Coast, West Coast. But you know what? Florida blossomed through the 80s and 90s, some of the most heavy bands ever. And speaking of that, I was at he reminds me of this all the time when I see Glenn Benton from Deicide. And, he rides a Harley too. He goes, yeah, motherfucker. He goes, you never got me in your band. I tried out for Nasty Savage as the bass player when we lost Fred. I never knew that. And because I was never there when they tried out musicians, because I left it up to them. I said, dude, you
okay.
guys pick who you want to jam with, and I'll go with whatever you guys do because you're the musicians and that's your deal. So I didn't know they did. That's when they got Chris Morehouse.
That's amazing. I never knew Glenn tried out. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I go down. So that was before the thing on his forehead and shit. So it was like, it could have changed the course of heavy metal. He could have never done that, until he quit and started his own band or what. I don't know. It's so weird. So you think about different things that happen like that, and it's just funny.
That's crazy. I mean, whatever you guys must have done back then, along with Sabotage and the other aforementioned bands, you triggered something. And what emerged, the monster that emerged out of Florida, really survived the LA scene, survived everything.
It was, I mean, Chuck and Rick and Cam in the early days of Death would come to our practices in the early days when they first found out about Nasty Savage. They came from Orlando to shows and they'd be right up front thrashing when wearing Nasty Savage shirts, and they started coming to our practice. Next thing you know, boom, Mantis was born, and it was that first fucking wave of that heavy shit. It was like wow, and then all of a sudden Morbid Angels, and then Deicide, then Obituary, and it's just like bam, bam, and by then it was getting close to the '90s, and all just that stuff exploded. So
crazy.
it was cool, but I think I'm not a bragger or nothing, but I really think we did impact the mayhem, the craziness, all they
Absolutely.
had to do is take it to the
Absolutely.
next. All they had to do is take the music to the next level of death metal after Venom came, and the real Venom was probably the first black metal, death metal, besides Black Sabbath, and but then they had heroes to look at and say we can do that. Then Slayer, Metallica. So it really impacted everybody, and it was a great time. And a story about Morbid Angel that I was going to tell you. I was just did a podcast the other day, and these guys really got off on the story because there's a story about Morbid Angel and a cat head at a Nasty Savage show. I don't know if you ever heard about that one, but one day in the early days of Ruby's Pub, it was a small place. I would get there 10 minutes before we go on, and it was like 12 o'clock. I get there about a quarter till, and just go right in the back door and boom, right on the stage because there's nowhere in there. So I get there, I'm going in, and I see Curtis outside in the back, and he's surrounded by three guys, and it looks like aggressively something's going on. I said, Curtis, what's up? He goes, hey, Ronnie. He goes, these guys are trying to fuck with me. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, they're trying to take this necklace. Curtis must have found Trey's necklace, or yeah, it was Trey's necklace, I believe. And
Okay.
Curtis had it. And so it was probably a satanic medallion or some shit. I don't know.
Woo!
So he's like, and I go, hey, I go, do you guys want to go swimming? And it was dark out already, and they're like hunched over. They look like demons or something. And it's real dark, and I could see their eyes. I go, do you guys want to go swimming? And I look to the right, and there's a big ass mud puddle. And they looked at the mud puddle, and they looked at me, and they go, ah, and they went and took off. They just left. And I was like, wow. I go, Curtis was like, oh, thanks, Ronnie. And we went on and played our gig. So then the next time we played, the mayhem was going down and the thrashers and the wave of just everything happening. And all of a sudden, through the crowd, a hand comes up with this little box, and I open it up. It's like the box you put a baseball in, and I open it up. This is while the band's going and shit, and there's a cat head in there, and I go, oh shit! And I held it up. Someone took it and went into the crowd, but I later found out that was a little message from the Morbid Angel guys that they went sacrificed a cat or something and put it in a box and put an evil spell on it because we took their necklaces and let them know. But
Crazy shit.
is that crazy, man? So, but I never had any ill will to those guys, and I didn't even think anything bad about it. But someone brought it up like I was really upset, and it was a big issue. I said, dude, that was the bigger issue is when I told them they could go swimming if they kept fucking with Curtis, and I throw them in that mud puddle. So I think that was more than anything. But that's just a good story I had to share with you, man.
Oh, that's really cool. No, you must, gee, those must have been times really amazing. Hey? Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean,
earlier you mentioned you don't before we reconnected. Now you mentioned something like that's why I don't follow that much of the. Well, you said metal, so you probably just have other listening preferences. You don't follow the metal scene religiously.
well, you always like Scorpions, and Priest and Black Sabbath, and
The old school.
but I also like Pink Floyd to get my mind right. Pink Floyd, a lot of Beatles, Rolling Stones. I mean, they don't make music like that anymore. And
Mm.
I like old '60s music, American music, and man, there's just so much cool. Even the Beach Boys, their harmonies, and just so much good music. And then you want to get into Metallica and Slayer and all that, but sometimes it's not as broad as mine for me to make my mind think and inspiring. So I believe in you got to go back to the past to come to the future. And as far as new metal and thrash metal, I don't even listen to it, man, because I don't want to sound like those bands. So I encourage my guys to listen to them and figure it out and do what they do, and I'll do what I do. When it's time to go to work, I go to work. But there's just so many good bands out there, and I think the main thing is people is to support these bands, and you making a choice to come to their shows, it means a lot to these guys to buy their merchandise, and to be a fan is a fan. But you know what? A fan of Nasty Savage is a fan of mine because I'm always going to stop and give them the time of day, and whatever they need or I can provide. And just make a special moment for them. It's so important, man, because I used to meet the bands. I used to go to the hotel in Lakeland and try to meet all the bands, man. I got to meet Kiss and Ozzy and every band, Iron Maiden. One time before Nasty Savage, it was on uh, it was the Killers tour, I think. No, No, Bruce Dickinson just got in the band, but they're at the Lakeland Civic Center, and we went to the hotel. We're trying to find him, so we go up to the next floor, and we're walking around. We're right by the elevator, opens up, and the whole band is in there. Iron Maiden. And Steve Harris was holding two cases of Heineken beer. He goes, "Hey, mate." He goes, "Could
All
you
right.
hold this for us?" He goes, "Could you hold this case for us and come up and drink a few with us?" So we went up to the room and hung out with Iron Maiden. And how cool
Wow.
was that? That was so cool. We drank beer with them and everything. It was just it was those moments mean something to people. So if you can brighten someone's day, even if you help an old lady across the street, man, let someone out in traffic, it doesn't matter. Move that turtle out of the road, save a fish, whatever you got to do. Make it good for people and make a fan happy, man. Sign whatever they want. If they're bringing their stuff, they're fans, man. Take the time. That's our
Absolutely.
duty.
They're the guys buying your product and coming to see you, often traveling miles and miles to just to see the show. And that's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
really special. It's a special connection with heavy metal and their fans, I think, and the bands. It's just a really cool thing.
So you guys, you mentioned now you're working on new material. Is there a sort of deadline in place where you're saying, okay, by end of the year we want to have the album complete, or are you guys just taking it one step at a time?
Yeah, that's a good question. What we're doing is we're going to do about get we have a couple other ones in the works. So we're going to do about 4 or 5 songs and probably do some kind of rough demo and then shop it around to some of the labels and just see what they say.
Hmm.
Um, and then if they like it, maybe we'll have a budget to do more of one or a whole album. Then we'll just have to see. I think it's going to be worthy. It's going to be Nasty Savage, 41 years later. And
Absolutely.
it,
They
but
must.
we're going to be missing components. So I mean, David's not there, Ben's not there, Curtis isn't there. We have Scotty's there. It's a new chapter of Nasty Savage, and I know some people will say, "Well, it's not the real Nasty Savage," without
But
this
but
guy or that. But
but Dave is with you, isn't he? Dave Austin.
no, David left.
Oh, when was this?
He just after we came back from Mexico,
Okay.
he so he's like, "Man, I'm burnt out. I'm tired. We're never going to do anything. It's blah blah blah." And he just said, "You know what? I'm just tired of being tired." So I was like, "Okay." But Dave quit before, and so I said, "Okay, but it's not the end of Nasty Savage. We still got more work to do." So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So a lot of people will say, "Well, it's not the same. It's not this. It's not that." But what I have to say is, we can't change the past. We
No, you
can't go
can't.
back to the past. All we have is now. So if we're going to
Exactly.
create something we love, and if everybody's into it, man, like I said, Dave Orman is a hell of a guitarist. Pete's a hell of a ripper and shredder. I mean, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be heavy, and it's going to be nasty, and it's going to be savage. And so that's all I can say, people, is do it take it with an open mind, because we've all heard the stories about, oh, it's not the same band. This guy's not in it, or that band. You can't change it, man. You just got
No,
to
you
live with
can't. I mean,
it.
life gets in the way, and people change, times change, circumstances change. It's
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to be booked to play in Holland um, in October, I think around
okay.
the 20th.
Okay.
Uh, so that a guy named Engelbert or something. Yeah, I think Egbert. Damn, I can't pronounce his name right. Anyway, he's one of the guys that's booking us, and
Is it a
we're
festival?
excited about it.
Is it a
It's a
festival?
festival.
Okay.
Yeah, in Holland. We'll keep in touch, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll find out about it. So that's kind of cool. And my kids and my wife would love to come because they've never been to Europe, and Holland's so beautiful. But then you got Germany and all the other countries all right there. It's like the States. We go around, but it's always hard to try to bring your family on tour or on a trip
Yeah.
like that.
Yes.
So we had the different flights, and I don't know if that'll work. But anyway, they're excited because usually they're not excited about anything I do with the band. They're like, "That's my dad."
But if it's from
Yeah,
some sightseeing, then it's okay.
yeah. But it was funny because when they were going to school, my daughter's 21 now, my son's 20. But when they were in school, they'd come home and go, "Hey, my teacher said, is your dad Nasty Ronnie?" And so they were getting recognized and stuff. And then they thought, "Oh, that was cool. Dad's known." And it happens a lot here in Brandon, because
Amazing.
they, they go, "Yeah, that's that your dad?" And he goes, "You wouldn't believe who said that." No, my teacher and stuff. So it's pretty
Cool.
funny how they think like that. And now so that's how they thought it was kind of cool that way.
So if you're coming to Holland, will it be a once-off thing, or are you planning to do dates around that?
Right now, it's he asked the guy said, "Do you want to do more shows?" I go, "Well, maybe 2 or 3 shows we could do." And so any promoters out there, if you know anybody, get them in touch with us. We're easy to contact.
Yeah.
That's another thing. The platforms like you have can help get the word out that we are looking for gigs, looking for shows, and
No, because I'm
we don't have
connected to the a few clubs here in the region, and it could be interesting to spread the word.
some of the greatest fans ever right there in Germany, man. Oh my God, it's just like educated fans,
Yeah,
educated fans who appreciate, they're smart, they support metal, and they're real people, who have feelings and emotions, and that they love metal. And you
no, they're
see the
very loyal
jackets
here. Yeah.
with the jackets and the patches, and it's like I tell people, Europeans are metal, and especially Germany, they're metal till they die. They're not going to change to reggae or go to uh, grunge. They're going to stay metal, for life. I always love that. But then you go to South America and Brazil, or you
It's
go to
crazy there too.
and you go to Mexico City, and it's metal. It's this music that's changed our world and in our own way, because people love heavy metal, and it's universal, man.
Totally.
And it's so cool when they're singing Unchained Angel or with Black Masters at the Witches Sabbath, whatever. It's so cool because it's something we created, and it's something that other people really dug because we just made it happen, and now we're still doing it. And it is crazy 40 years later to still do this. It's like, wow, does that keep me younger? Does it keep me better, my mind sharper, or is it scarier? It's like, oh shit, I'm about to go to battle, man. I'm going in. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I know one thing. I'm going to burn some images in people's brains tonight. I'm going to do that. I know that's going to happen, but I really don't know how. I'm going to have some. I'm going to have some tools to work with. Oh shit, it's a lot mentally, try to get ready for that. So when you talk about 3 or 4 or 5 shows in a row, man, that's crazy, but why not, So if you know anybody out there, get them in touch with us. Go to
No, definitely. I'll do some fishing, but yeah, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 or even 3 venues that I know of that'd be very interested, I think. So
hell, why not?
we need to
We're
be in
gonna
touch.
it's
Stay in
gonna
touch.
be the week. I think it's around the 20th and 21st that weekend. So anything before or after that could work.
What was that date again?
October 20th, 21st.
Okay, that's in Holland.
Yeah, it's in Holland. So I'll get you some more info when
That'd be great.
I find out, because you just never know. What happened is we were booked on that before COVID, so they still have the plane flights paid for, I guess.
Okay, okay.
So it's in stone from a long time ago, and now they're like getting back with us and working out, everything we need to do to get there.
Hmm.
So it's exciting for the band to know that, man, we have something to do in October for sure. So we got to keep our shit together, and we got to play some new music.
So,
You know,
who do I if I do get interest from these people, the club owners and stuff, who do they contact? You
they,
directly?
yeah, yeah. We don't have any booking agents, management, or nothing.
You
We
just
do
do
it.
it yourself.
I do it. I do it because it's.
Yeah,
I'm the pretty much sole member of Nasty Savage originally, so I take care of the business stuff. And
right.
it's my email, rg at borntoride.com, or you can go
Gotcha.
to Facebook. You can go to the Nasty Savage Wage of Mayhem page.
I'll,
But
I'll
yeah,
put I'll put all
we're
those
easy.
links underneath the video.
Yeah, we're always easy to contact, you know. But it's a pleasure to get in touch with the fans, and you know, guys like yourself who know the history and can help educate others to it, but have been there, you know. And we've gone through a lot. We've survived to this age in life, and you know, we're still metalheads. You know, it's like wow.
Now,
And
for me personally, it's an honor even speaking to you. It's like, I mean, I sat in my bedroom studying your album covers, and I was like, wow, this is crazy, you know? Yeah.
well, I mean, you know, that's why it's so important now because we there's a lot of outlets, but there's not a lot of outlets, you know. So when you have the opportunity, do it and give. I want to give you my everything I could give you to help you have a good show and help you get your ratings up or help you get people to go, you know what, that was a cool interview, man. I learned some shit off of that. And what are you going to have next? It helps you
Yes,
anticipate
absolutely.
your next work because you're a producer too, and you're always producing. But you know, it's you
Yeah, and
got to
I'd like
work with the media.
yeah, and I'd like to sensitize people that there's material on the way, the band is active. That's
Yeah,
something
somebody
I enjoy doing it. So
or someone tuning in that never even knows who the hell Nasty Savage is. And they go, "Who is this band? Let me check. They've been around this long, man." And these guys liked him, and they were obituary. You know, they knew Morbid Angel, and you know Cam and Rick, and
yeah,
you know
look,
all the.
I mean, there's always this talk. I mean, it feels to me like every second day I glance through Facebook. There's this talk of should Exodus be included into the Big Four and that kind of stuff. And I just think, well, you know, sure, but for inventing thrash, but there's many bands that have forged the style, you know, and helped mold what became the more extreme versions of metal. So,
Yeah, and you
but yeah,
know
I
it's
guess
they
that's a
could have
sales thing, I think.
they could have categories and they could have this and that and Mount Rushmore of metal or whatever they
Yeah,
want to do. But you know it's just those are just people's opinions and it's all good and you know I guess the business shows who's who, but I think Nasty Savage probably never had the big breaks we should have.
yes,
Nasty Savage never really made it big. You know, Nasty Savage probably got passed over on, but it's probably our own fault, you know, bad management, bad decisions, or, you know, I think we never had management. Like when Metal Blade wanted to, when we got that letter from Metal Blade, we were so excited. And our management at the time said, you guys are only signing for one record with Metal Blade because then we'll prove what we can do. And then we could, and you know, they wanted to sign us for 7 albums. So if they signed us for 7 albums, they probably would have put more money into us.
yes,
You
yes,
know, it's just decisions that you make, you look back on, but you can't change them. So you just got to deal with what happened. And
yes, definitely.
you know,
Just
that's
the
why
way.
we never maybe got big or got to a national label or international much. But that's why we gotta take what we can get now and seize the moment. You know,
I mean,
seize the moment.
but just consider. I mean, you probably do. I don't need to tell you, but you can consider yourself so fortunate to be even still doing it after all these years, and that's longevity for you. You know, that's I think that's an achievement in itself.
You know, it really is. And what's cool with that is I could go to a dinner party with my wife and she's in the insurance business and there's straight people, straight shirts and business people and white collar. And then they find out I'm in this band and they have 1,000 questions and I have 1,000 stories. And, you know, so it's always been easy to get along with anybody in any room when you're with a band and travel and you have stories to tell. And then with the wrestling stuff I've done, 1990, I co-produced 200 episodes of the IWF wrestling at Universal Studios, Florida. So, I mean, I got a lot of, I mean, one time I was at a dinner party with my wife and she goes, "Oh, this is Angie's husband, Roger. He's a CEO at Nestle." I'm like, "Nestle?" I go, "Hey, Roger, I got an idea for you." And he goes, "What would that be?" I said, "Check this out. The IWF Wrestling Nestle Crunch of the Week. And I'll put your logo in the center of the mat." I said, "Now let's go to the Crunch of the Week from Nestle." And he's like, "Oh, I like that idea, man." He goes, "Give me a proposal on that." Yeah. And I was like, "Yes, sir." And I walked away going to myself, what the hell is a proposal?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know. But within 30 days, I had him signed to a $50,000 proposal. So that's where I got my my history or my knowledge of TV marketing and sponsorships, and that's when I started Born to Ride. After that, I was on track to what I was doing because after their season was up with us, so my boss goes nasty because I brought Nasty Ronnie into that. He goes, Nasty, go get him to sign up again. So I go to ask him. He goes, Ron, we're going to take some time off. I go, what? And um, I learned about customer service and servicing an account in business because I just handed it to my boss to handle. And if I would have handled it, they never would have left. So that's how I learned real quick customer service and taking care of a sponsor and making them love you more. And I learned a big lesson there. I really did. But it's pretty cool when you can go anywhere and talk about your travels, adventure, and things that you've done in life. And
That's great.
music and metal, it makes the world go around, man. And people freak on that. And they go, really? And then I'll show them a few pictures and they go, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is like Kiss, or this is like crazy shit, Alice Cooper and stuff. I always
Ronnie,
say, hey, it's a mix
Ronnie,
between.
Ronnie, sadly, Zoom is capping us again. I'm gonna have to wrap up.
Okay.
Ronnie, thanks for sharing your stories, talking to us. It's been wonderful talking about the band, everything you're doing on the side. Hey, we need to keep in touch, and I'll do some digging, and if I can find out something, I'll contact you.
Yeah, brother. Contact me anytime, anyway, and I'm always here for you. And thank everybody, and check out Nasty. Go to nastysavage.com for more. Keep up the great work, brother. I really
Check out all the
appreciate it.
links below.
All right, thank you, guys.
Ronnie, have a good weekend.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.